we are coming in hot for today's Brandon's World because I'll be honest with you, Saturday night, I was celebrating maybe the most unpredictable Royal Rumble win in history when main event Jay Uso Yeet captured his opportunity to go on to potentially main event WrestleMania. And I was just about ready to go to sleep after celebrating an amazing Royal Rumble Premium Live event when friend of the show, Andy Z, you guys know him, we've had him on multiple times now on this show. He sent me a text and said, um, the Lakers just acquired Luka Doncic. And I looked at it and I went to Sham's Twitter account or X account, whatever you want to call it, and I saw it. And then he immediately tweeted afterwards that it was not a hack, it was a real trade. And then I saw ESPN repost and obviously tweeted out that Luka Doncic has been acquired from the Los Angeles, or has been acquired by the Los Angeles Lakers from the Dallas Mavericks for Anthony Davis, and the Utah Jazz were involved, and it was a three-team trade, blah, 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 there, in my opinion. Folks, you guys know during the NFL season, outside of maybe some early NBA talk, I'll give my NBA predictions for who I think is going to make the conference finals, who I think is going to make the NBA finals. I don't dive into a lot of NBA stuff during the football season. You guys know NFL, college football, WWE, the majority take up our content here on this programming, obviously outside of the MLB playoffs from about September through about February. Then in February, we dive into the NBA after football season. And I was going to do, and I am still going to do here after football season, my solutions to fix the NBA All Star game. Not only that, but my solutions to fix the NBA as a whole. As ratings have gone down, I think the 3-point shot is becoming way too overbearing. Of course, my Cleveland Cavaliers use it, and they're an NBA Finals team this year. That's how the Boston Celtics won last year's NBA championship. But I think everybody is playing the same style nowadays. So I am going to make, a couple podcasts after football season on that. But I needed to talk about this today because this may go down as the biggest in season, even pre NBA trade deadline, of course, before deadline day, trade in the history of the National Basketball Association. Now, you guys know the history of these two players. Let's start first with Anthony Davis, who was in New Orleans. He was viewed as a prodigy. He was viewed as the savior of the franchise after being a dominant player in college at Kentucky. He never really lived up to the hype. The closest the New Orleans Pelicans got with Anthony Davis was the second round of the postseason. He was really a number two on a championship team, but he was number one in New Orleans. They didn't have a lot of talent around him. Once LeBron joined with the Lakers, it was pretty clear Anthony Davis wanted to be a Laker. LeBron wanted to be with Anthony Davis. They teamed together in Los Angeles. They did win a championship, albeit it was in the ESPN, Mickey Mouse, Disney bubble. But the Lakers were also the best team in the NBA that year. Anthony Davis was having his best year health wise outside of last year. And then obviously we know about the last 2 years where LeBron and AD have done nothing but put up numbers. But at the end of the day, they have been unable to beat Denver. They played Denver in the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago. Then they played them in the first round in totality. Denver went 8-1 in those two series against the Lakers, and it just has felt like ever since the 2020 season, the Lakers have never been back to truly that championship pedigree. Meanwhile, for Luka Doncic, he came into the NBA 1 year after Dirk Nowitzki retired from the Mavericks, and the Mavericks went from one foreign grade, excuse me, and Dirk Nowitzki, who obviously won that 2011 NBA championship, right into Luka Doncic. And Luka Doncic came to the league and he put up numbers. He was becoming what Russell Westbrook basically was, which was the triple double king. And I was never too into Luka Doncic. I knew he was a special player. I knew he was a talented player, but I needed to see him grow. I also needed to see him, distribute the ball a little bit more, get into the field a little bit more. I get he put up 10 assists and, he'd do all these triple doubles, but it always did feel a little Russell Westbrook to me. We're on a bad Mavericks team or a Mavericks team that legitimately did not have a shot at the NBA championship. It would almost feel a little stat padding to me. Then last year at the trade deadline, the Mavericks go out, and obviously 2 years ago they got Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic never seemingly clicked. Dallas fell down the stretch. They did not make the postseason. Last year they make these trade deadline additions. They add in PJ Washington. They add in Daniel Gafford. And they end up going on an incredible run, and in part because Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving found a way to play with each other. Luka Doncic had easily the best postseason of his career, and the Dallas Mavericks were able to make the NBA Finals before promptly being eliminated in 5 games to the Boston Celtics. Now, reminder, last year's Mavericks team was a number 5 seed, and you could make the argument they may have caught a break in the first round because they did not have to play Kawhi Leonard in the Los Angeles Clippers. They just had to play Paul George and the Los Angeles Clippers. Then they took on an Oklahoma City team who was just way too young at that time to make a deep playoff run. Luka was the best player in that series. And then we get to the Western Conference Finals where Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves just came off a grueling 7 game series where they knocked off the then defending NBA champion Denver Nuggets. Luka Doncic was amazing in that series. He outplayed Anthony Edwards in that series. It caused the Minnesota Timberwolves to essentially break up Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. Minnesota moves Cat to New York in exchange for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. That trade has not worked out well in the favor of the T-Wolves. So, my biggest question here, and it's been reported by ESPN, that the Mavericks called the Lakers and initiated this trade about Luka for Anthony Davis. The Lakers did not think Luka Doncic was available. The rest of the league did not think Luka Doncic was available. Listen, this guy has been in the league since 2018. So this is what, his seventh NBA season? And Luka is only 25 years old. And with the numbers he put up, Shannon Sharp, when he was on Undisputed with Skip Bayless back in the day, he used to call Luka Doncic Baby Bird because he played a lot like Larry Bird. And again, Luka oftentimes would not come up clutch in clutch situations until last year, where I thought he really broke out in the postseason. And his game, actually, in my opinion, doesn't even marry Larry Bird. It marries LeBron James with the way, at his size, he's able to pass, shoot, rebound, do it all. And I'm really interested to see this combination between Luka and LeBron because this is a trade straight out of NBA 2K. I think it's going to be very interesting to see that now when you have, in my opinion, and I think LeBron, you can make an argument, by the way, is still, at least on the offensive side of the ball, a top 5 player, and we know Luka is as well. I think, probably third or fourth best player in the league. I have not redone my NBA top 10 players. I usually wait till the postseason to do that because I think in the NBA, the postseason is where you really make your money. It's really a different sport now than the NBA regular season. The intensity of it, the defense that is being played. But obviously, when you have Luka and LeBron, two of the best ball handlers in the sport, two of the best passers in the sport, two of the best overall players in the sport on the same team, to me, it is without a doubt that the Lakers are now championship material. And outside of Oklahoma City, who this year is obviously taking a big step with Shea and crew, and they don't even have Chet Holmgren back on the court. That team is just so young and athletic. I like the Houston Rockets, but they feel like that they are a year away. Golden State is obviously on the decline. Denver seems like they're on the decline. Minnesota a little bit seems like they're on the decline. Dallas, obviously now, I don't think Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, they could be an okay combo together. I think they're not a terrible team, but they're definitely not as good as they were a year ago. Um, and it's funny because I think people forget that last year, Mark Cuban sold the Dallas Mavericks. And also, Mark Cuban, if you're a fan of ABC's Shark Tank, came out and pretty much said this season that's airing currently is going to be his last season on Shark Tank. And, Mark Cuban, who has been a valiant investor, obviously, and owned the majority of the Dallas Mavericks for years, I doubt he would have traded Luka Doncic. He kept Dirk Nowitzki for 20 years and they weren't winning, and then all of a sudden they broke through. I know Mark was a huge fan of Luka. I wonder if he knew something behind the scenes that, Dallas general manager or something was crafting and he wasn't into it, so he just decided enough was enough. Let's sell the team. Um, and I find it fascinating that the report is again that Dallas called the Lakers and told them Luka is available for Anthony Davis. And I don't think the Lakers even hesitated. They said, we'll give up a 2029 first round pick. Honestly, who cares? We need to make this move. Anthony Davis is brittle. He's injured. You can't trust him. And sometimes in big games, he doesn't show up for the moment. And by the way, he has not been able to defend Nikola Jokic the last 2 years anyway. So I think that is the one concern about this move for the Lakers. They do need to find, another big in there somewhere. They do have to match up with Denver again. And also, Luka, I think is going to have to play some defense because LeBron, I'm not saying he's a liability on defense at this point, but he cannot sit in the chair for 48 minutes. They play a lot of zone defense where LeBron is sort of, standing in the middle and putting his arms out and, waiting for the rebound if it comes down, sort of defense. Um, but I mean, I mean, this move, excuse me, this move does not make any sense, in my opinion, for for the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, they just practically sold their 25-year-old, potentially game-changing franchise player for an aging, old, brittle Anthony Davis, who again is a good player, but what's his ceiling, And the Mavericks general manager came out and said that defense wins championships, and they were concerned about Luka Doncic's conditioning. I think it more has to do with the fact that Luka Doncic was eligible for what? A 345 million contract extension, and it sounds like these new Maverick owners did not want to pay it. The fact that you're concerned about Luka's conditioning to me is a joke when the guy is only 25 years old. And I get it. Luka can be annoying. He can bitch. He can pout. He can complain at the refs. And I don't love that about him. I think LeBron will get in there with him. I think LeBron will teach Luka about that. And I think you'll see less complaining out of the 25-year-old former number 77. I don't know at this time what number he's going to wear for the Lakers. I'm recording this on an early Sunday morning. But again, still, this trade at the time of this recording is 8 and 9 hours old. I had time to sleep on it, and I still don't get it. I think it's a great move for the Lakers. I think it's a terrible move for Dallas. I think they just sold their franchise. I think it's a sign of cheap ownership. And I also thought about this immediately when the trade went down. If you guys remember when we talked about, Bronny James, obviously being, there in the NBA this year, playing in that first game this year with his dad. I had said at the time going into the year that I think quietly LeBron has told the Lakers he does not want a Kobe Bryant-esque retirement tour, but that this was going to be his final season. I don't think LeBron is going to wait for Bryce. I think LeBron, now at age 40 years old, obviously he turned 40 on December 30th. He has every record in the book, right? He has the all-time scoring record. He has the all-time playoff points record. I believe he is the all-time record in playoff assists as well. Like every statistical record you can think of with LeBron. I think in the younger generation's eyes that did not see Michael Jordan play, is going to think in 10, 20 years LeBron James is the greatest basketball player to ever brace an NBA court. And so now that you have Luka Doncic, I think LeBron's going to show Luka the ropes. I think he's going to teach Luka everything there needs to know as Luka moves from Dallas, Texas to the City of Angels and Los Angeles. And I do think that next year, LeBron at the end of this year is going to hang it up. They're going to transition to Luka Doncic, and the Lakers, who have been irrelevant in a town where the Los Angeles Dodgers just keep getting stars, and the Los Angeles Clippers, despite what we may think of them on the court, have a brand new, beautiful facility in the Intuit Dome. And the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers now with Jim Harbaugh, big personality head coach with Justin Herbert. Obviously, we know the success the Rams have had with Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. The Lakers have sort of been like they're there, but they're not really the faces of Los Angeles. Now, this puts the Lakers back on the map. And the good news for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys is now he's the second worst general manager of the pro teams in Dallas. Like that clip from the Brand's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World podcast right here on YouTube.